I think we start. Okay, I'm going to call the work session for 8/11/2020, Planning Commission decisions. Did you guys look at the Planning Commission decisions? Do you have any thought that there could be a call up or something?
No, I just wanted to make one correction. Toward the end, Ms. Lydell asks if Walkable Main Street program will be continued or stopped at the end of September. And it says that Julia said it will be continued, but it won't be. I just wanted to make that clear in case anybody read the planning notes.
Yeah, good catch. Okay.
We'll make that correction, Erin.
What was that?
We'll make that correction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so other than that, there doesn't look to be a call up, right? And so then we go to legislative review, special event ordinance revision first reading. That must be who?
Shannon.
Right,
that will be me.
Mm-hmm.
So Mayor Pro Tem and Council, this is an ordinance that would amend our current special event ordinance. What we found since the start of COVID is that virtual events have become particularly popular. And after the first of those was held in and around Breckenridge, we realized that based on the language that currently existed, we did not have the ability to require permitting for those types of events. So this is an amendment that adds a virtually held event to the list of events that would require permitting. And the requirements for what qualifies as an event that requires permitting is the same. So something where they expect participation to be 50 or more people, it's entertainment, the public's invited, all the same things that require a permit of, or had required a permit in the past. And in addition to that, we also realized that though murals can be permitted through this process, a mural by definition does not include street art. And so we've added street art to the ordinance so that it allows us to permit those types of installations as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
How do
well
we
done.
Well
done, Shannon. One question is the entertainment piece what protects us from including First Amendment type gatherings?
So so actually in the full ordinance, there's a separate paragraph that addresses First Amendment events, and we ask them to submit a permit. There's no timeline requirement like there is with a normal event. There's no fee associated with it. It's really just an opportunity for us to make sure all of our staff and everyone isn't aware of the event and that we can address safety concerns and things like that.
And Shannon, how do we know numbers and how do we verify number of participants?
We don't. So we have conversations with event producers to make sure we're all on the same page about, how many people they can reasonably expect to attend. And we've had really good luck with producers being, kind of honest about what their expectations are. And in many cases being willing to put in a permit, even if they think they might have less than 50.
Anybody else? No? Okay.
Hold on. I see that there's a question asking about what's the need. So just to clarify that these virtual events have a physical presence. For instance, if it's an online, if it's a virtual race, where theoretically you could race the route on the trails a certain time, anytime, right? But that still has an impact to those trails. So that's an example of why we would want to do this, is so that even though it's not 100% virtual, it's not like people are in their homes participating on a fundraising event. It's something where there is a physical presence, and that physical presence could create some issues with trails or with public property if you have too many people gathering at one place. that's why we're looking at doing this.
Right, Aaron, that's exactly right. And the fourth qualification for an event needing a permit is that it's expected to have a visual, noise, or environmental impact or cause disruption to the normal routine of the community or a neighborhood. So it's kind of a broad stroke of the ways in which an event could impact the community and why we need to have permitting.
I think it looks good. Yeah, and I think it's a smart way to go about it.
All right. Anybody else? Cool. Well, then want to talk about dark sky? Anybody?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bergeron and
Yeah.
Council. This is a first reading you have in front of you for this evening on an ordinance changes to the town's exterior lighting standards. Back in 2017, we changed those to require that all lighting is downcasted and shielded on new developments, and that within 15 years, existing lighting would be brought into conformance. We recently had some discussions with council. That date was coming up in July of 2022. Based on council direction, we have moved that date forward to July of 2025. So push it 3 years beyond the original conformance date. In addition to that, we've clarified that where there's other options for coming into compliance, namely, if you propose to retrofit an existing lighting fixture where the lighting is still downcast. So those are the two changes that we made to the ordinance, and be glad to answer any questions council may have.
So Mark, I mean, give the reason why we backed it off a few years.
Well, there was some concerns some homeowners had about coming into conformance in terms of there's a cost to bring all your lighting fixtures into conformance, and also concerns about, you know, throwing out lighting that was still working and just creating additional waste if the lighting was still, you know, in operable order.
Okay. You know, and I don't know how everybody else felt, but part of my motivation was these uncertain times, and I wanted to give some homeowners some breathing room as far as coming into compliance, just because it will be a cost, and it will be a cost to the homeowners and the HOA. So, anybody else? Anything? Anybody?
Who's the director? I might just have not read that through.
That's myself, Aaron, the Community Development Director.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
Okay. So now we're going to go to the Xcel gas line easement first reading.
That's
Scott
me.
Reed. Oh, it's you.
Yeah, that's me. The Open Space and Trail Department put in a memo into the packet explaining these easement requests. It's always been my interpretation of the town charter that the granting of an easement over town-owned property requires an ordinance approval by the town. And as indicated in the memo, Xcel Public Service Company has made 2 requests for easements across town-owned open space property. The memo does a nice job of explaining the request and the location. I think staff is fine with these. Instead of the Xcel standard form easement, which we typically use with an Xcel easement, I drafted a couple of specific easements here, primarily to give the town the right to review and determine where trees are going to be cut. We didn't want any clear cutting of a 15-foot easement across the town's open space. It's my understanding that Xcel Public Service is okay with this, with the form of the easements. So it's staff's recommendation that both ordinances be approved on first reading tonight.
Scott Reed, for those that are watching, clarification, where are these easements?
One is behind, it's on the steep hillside that leads up to Snowshoe Court, Snowstorm Circle up on Peak 7.
Yeah.
So behind Petal and Bean, if you will, that hillside above there that has some tree issues to begin with. And then the other one is along, it goes from Tiger Road up to Long Ridge Drive, which is that long ridge adjacent to the golf course. Kind of looks down on Rounds Park and that lake. That's sort of, will be straight shots up the hill. The intent is to have them bore, so underground, all this. And as Tim referenced, the idea behind both of those parcels is really visual backdrop and managing the treescape as much as we can. And in both cases, we think that this will be a fine option. And if they need to cut trees or damage trees, they need to get permission from the town.
So it doesn't affect any trails.
Correct.
Scott, do you or your team have any concerns with this? Do you have any worries?
No, we don't. We again, back to the tree issue, there still needs to be some tree work done on the one on Airport Road. That parcel needs some of our attention to get some downfall and deadfall out of there. So after they do that work, we are already planning to do some work on that, probably early next year or late this year, depending on how successful we are at getting there. So the other one actually has been cleared of trees years ago now. I think in 20. I think is when we cut that was one of the first cuts we did with response to the pine beetle. And so a lot of it actually has grown back pretty well. We did some planting in there as well. So it's got some diversity. And again, if they're 2 feet underground, we should be fine in that case as well.
And this was brought up.
Behind Airport Road, there's a ton of beetle kill back in there.
This was also brought up at BOSAC, and BOSAC did not bring up any concerns.
Cool. All right. So that's good. And then we,
Xcel's always been a good partner in the past.
yeah, they're doing a lot more renewable type stuff too, which is cool. An ordinance making new Breckenridge free ride transit plan, July 2020, a correlative document under the developmental code of first reading. Is this a housekeeping thing, Tim?
Yes, it most certainly is. The development code has a sort of laundry list of related documents related to the development code itself, but not an actual standalone part of the development code. We call them, the code calls them correlative documents. The current transit plan from many years ago is listed as a correlative document. And last meeting, you reviewed the new transit plan that Jen Pullen has put together. There are 2 steps that have to be done here. One, we need to have you amend the development code to change the listing of the correlative document that is the transit plan from the old one to the new one. That is a typical ordinance. It takes 2 readings. This is the ordinance that's in front of you tonight. There is also a parallel requirement to amend the town's comprehensive plan. And to do that, to incorporate the new transit plan as part of the town's comp plan. That process will require only 1 hearing, the adoption of a resolution, and some additional public notice. That second step will be in front of you in 2 weeks. And it also, if everything goes right, the second reading of the ordinance tonight will also be on your agenda. So at the next meeting, we should be able to wrap this up, but tonight it's our recommendation and request that the ordinance be adopted on be approved on first reading.
Any questions or anything?
Tim, this transit plan doesn't need to come back to us if we make adjustments over the course of the winter, correct?
Dick, it kind of depends on how major the adjustments are. I mean, if you change the language and we don't really change the date of the overall plan, you probably don't have to do anything formally.
So
But
I think Dick's question is with regard to our actual transit operations. And the transit plan is a guide for us. And we're already not, I mean, the winter plan that's been adopted by the council is not the same plan that's in the, the transit plan is making more broad recommendations of how we do things. if we alter our operations, that doesn't impact that, Dick.
Okay,
Thank you, Rick.
great, thanks.
So we all cool with this?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. American Wind Week Proclamation.
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem Council, this is a proclamation before you celebrating the 4th Annual American Wind Week, which is honoring the renewable energy sector of wind. This is a major economic driver for many communities in Colorado, as well as a major portfolio, major portion of Xcel's renewable energy portfolio. While we don't have a lot of wind here locally in Breckenridge, we do rely a lot on the Xcel energy grid to help us get to our 100% renewable energy goals. So this proclamation just supports wind in Colorado and our goals towards 100% renewable energy.
Okay, does anyone on the council hate wind? No?
We've got wind.
All right, well then I think we're gonna jump all over that wind proclamation, Jesse.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can't wait to read it during the regular meeting. All right, now, managers report. We're like ahead of the game, Rick. I think I'm setting a whole new record here.
You should probably slow down just a little bit.
How about we do the managers report?
All right, so we're gonna do public projects, and we have Shannon Smith there for you.
Hello, everybody. I do have one thing I want to bring to your attention in regards to the parking structure. Xcel is seeking approval from CDOT to do some night work on Park Ave to support the parking structure. This would be a closure from French Street to Airport on Park, which goes okay with our Main Street closure because the cars can go down French and then onto Main to the roundabout. If that makes sense, and it would be from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. They're hoping to seek approval to start this next week, and it would be 4 to 5 days of night work. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to meet that schedule with CDOT approval, but that's what they're shooting for.
Ooh.
I just want to give you a heads up on it.
What were those streets again?
So on Park Ave from French to Airport. So it affects that one City Market driveway. We're going to get in touch with the landowner there, and then it doesn't really have an impact on much else.
So when's it go again, Shannon? What hours and what days?
9 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're hoping to start on the 17th, Jeffrey, but they do not have final CDOT approval on this.
Okay, so the 17th to the 22nd or something like that.
Mhm.
So
And-
if you weren't, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jeffrey.
no, go ahead.
What about, so people trying to get from Airport Road to City Market, they would have to go
Ooh, they could go
left
to the intersection.
to Main Street and then turn right.
So if you're on Airport, you can just go straight across into City Market by the gas station.
So that's still allowed.
That's still allowed.
So you're just blocking one entrance to City Market, and that's to the south.
Mhm.
Yeah. To go that
So
way.
this will impact northbound transit that needs to hit Airport Road. I think that's purple. So we're gonna work with transit, how we're gonna handle that, because it will impact a couple stops. We don't have that quite detailed out yet, but we will.
Actually, I'm glad that they're recommending doing this at night. There's a lot less impacts to the community doing this work at night, and there's such light traffic. I'm sure a lot of them would detour right through City Market lot anyways and bypass that detour. So
Yeah, we're supportive of it for the same reasons, Rick. I don't think it's gonna be a big hardship to anybody if we do it at night.
I mean, it is kind of death by 1,000 cuts. I think some of the populace is pretty ticked off about all the construction so far. So I'm going to be personally prepared to direct people to talk to Dennis who are pissed.
Perfect.
It's prudent.
Make sure that the gas can be delivered to Conoco.
Okay. Okay.
So was this so the wall repair Weren't we also creating or reconstructing that path next to this wall on Ski Hill Road? Is
The
that done?
open space connection.
Yeah, has that been completed?
I'm not sure if it's 100% complete. I know they were working on it ahead of this project. Unless Scott wants to chime in, I can get with the trail.
I believe it's done. I
It is
believe
indeed completed.
Say that again,
It
Scott.
is completed. Yep, it's complete.
You guys got to check it out. It is
that
amazing.
the Lomax Placer?
It goes up from Ski Hill Road up towards, Gold Camp area, but it is an amazing, Troy did it, and it is an amazing feat of engineering. How he did it, I have no idea, but check it out. It is really well done, and it will last longer than I will. So, yeah.
It's great.
So I didn't know if there's any other questions. That was the only update I had was on that Park Ave closure. I didn't want to forget to tell you.
Anybody else have any questions to ask slowly?
I really like the pictures that's included in the packet.
Well done. Well done. That's you probably just
You're
followed up.
lovely.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, managers report public parking and transportation update. Let's update that.
Jeffrey, I think all you have in the packet are the free ride ridership numbers. We do have some interesting traffic numbers that I'll have for you the next meeting in the packet.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Thank you for calling me Aaron. I have a request. So with these numbers that we're looking at, could we have either the totals or the percentage of the possible people who could ride, or the possible, I know that we're limited in how many people can ride a bus at a time, right? So these numbers they also have to go down. Could we have do you see what I'm saying? Like a percentage of how many potential riders there could be, or total potential riders? Am I making sense?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because we know how many people can fit on the bus, but we don't know how many people would be picked up. Like, I don't know that that's going to give you what you're looking for, because we would never pick up a full bus right at every stop. So I'm not sure how to give you a percentage number other than percentage of.
Right, I see.
Let me think about it, because we can do a percentage of what it was last year, and then maybe be able to factor in the lower capacity.
Okay.
But I'll talk with Jen about how that might look.
A lot of variables with all the stops.
If there could be some, I get what you're saying. I'd like to know if this is relatively good in consideration of the 25 limit capacity. How are we doing? Are the buses, half, is it 12 people per ride, or is it 25 every time? Like, if there's a way to get some kind of an idea of how we're doing in consideration of the capacity.
I think we can maybe look at the number, like the average, are the buses typically running even at, if the occupancy is 25, are we running at 75% of that 25 on average? I think part of the challenge is there are so many variables and why ridership is down. Capacity is only one of those variables. We have less employment, we have less activity on the mountain, we have less people going to work, we have all these different things that are driving less ridership right now. And so I'm not sure that you're going to be able to, I really don't know what you're looking for other than to see, are we doing okay based on all the conditions we have?
I'll go ahead, Erin.
Average ridership per trip. You know, we know numbers based on last year's numbers. We know like that's how we judge what's good right now, right? And now that we have that, you know, we've totally, everything is upside down. It's hard to tell where we are with these numbers because we just know it as a percentage of what was good last year. So
I think, let us check. Because it would be good to know, even though a bus can hold 25, are we really, on average, they're only holding 18 or something like that.
Right.
But also, I would argue that some people might not feel comfortable riding the bus, and it's, you know, and even though parking's limited with the closure of Main Street, it's kind of just a good thing for your mental health just to walk the town opposed to taking a bus. So I don't know if we're going to get any clarity on that because there's just so many. It's a new reality, and hopefully it will be over soon.
Right. But as we continue to make decisions about buses, I think it's good to know what's going on. You know, right now, these metrics, although I appreciate them, they're not useful in our new normal, or as useful in our new normal as we're just comparing to last year, you know, other months. So I think if we're going to continue to examine our bus schedule and things like that, it might be good to have metrics as far as, you know, what's our potential and where is it now. And yes, even though there are all these different factors, and I understand that, I don't know that we'll be able to understand them without having, you know, numbers per ride or something substantial that stands on its own.
Yeah, well, you're asking good questions because I think down the road we're going to be asked to allocate funds for the transportation system. And we have to know if the money is well spent or if it could be spent, you know, other places. You guys, anything else, Dennis, Dick? No.
No, I like that, Aaron. Thanks for bringing that up because really that's one of the key takeaways from that new transit master plan is how are we using our data to help drive decisions? And it is new data now. It's new metrics that we need to look at. I think instead of just, you know, when transit routes were growing and everything was apples to apples, the old stuff made a little more sense. But now it doesn't really, it doesn't mean the same. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think they were great in the past, and I think it's a good way to measure how the routes compare in the past. But yeah, this would be good. Thank you so much for looking into it.
Okay, we're done with that. You guys, everything's cool. How about housing and childcare update?
We had a meeting today, so there are no minutes in your packet. I'll put my video on just since I am.
Are you in a hammock, Laurie?
No, I'm not on a hammock.
Oh, okay.
Nice though.
All right.
But I'm not in my office either.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, no minutes in your packet because our meeting was just today. A lot of things came out of the meeting that will ultimately be going to the council. We did talk about a potential small project on town-owned property that will go to council. Rick is sort of heading that one up. We discussed the potential amendment to the Miller annexation, which would also go to council and be discussed with the full council at a later date. Those were the biggies. Did a regular buy down update and a regular housing helps update. And then just also talked about a small change of use from a basement level commercial unit into a deed restricted unit. That will also have to go to the full council. So council will see those things and you'll see our minutes in your next packet.
You know, one of the things that we did talk about is that housing help is phenomenally successful, which is well done. Good job on that.
Thank you.
All right, you're very humble. Those were interesting discussions we had today. It was, yeah, these will be good discussions at the council level.
Yeah, I didn't want to do just a disservice to them by talking a little bit about them because I think they're all very meaty topics, and I'd like the council to really read about them and rely on that more than my 2 cents worth.
Sure. No, we've got some opportunities.
Okay. We all, everything's copacetic with this? Okay. Where the heck are we? Oh, committee reports.
There was nothing in your packet, so. No report in the packet.
Okay,
Except
so
the Defense Committee though, Jeffrey.
there is, yeah, that's what I'm getting to. The Breckenridge Events Committee is up next. And that's, who's that?
So that's me and Dick.
Oh.
So you have a memo in the packet that includes the minutes from our meeting last week, as well as the list of events that have been canceled because of COVID. The only item that I wanted to point out and just make sure everyone's good with it, you know, we've been looking for opportunities to fill in some of the spaces on Main Street. And on 4th of July, Hal Batcher did a bit of a show and shine after the cruise around town. So Casey has been speaking with Hal about doing that, not necessarily the cruise around town, but the show and shine piece down on Main Street on the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. And I just wanted you all to have an awareness of that and make sure no one had any concerns about it. It does appear to be really well received by folks.
I mean, I guess I could ask, are we, do we discourage a cruise first? Or is it more, it's just easier to just do a show and shine because they get them all set up there? You know, why not a cruise too? Just they just rather do a show and shine?
Yep, they might do a cruise as well, but really our focus is on the Main Street piece of it and filling in that animation. But there was some discussion that they might do something like the cruise again as well.
Okay, cool. You guys have any issues with any of this?
There's Shannon, about 40 cars parked along Main Street.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Cool cars. 40
Well,
cool cars on Main Street.
That's the max. Are they using the max? Do we know what the participation looks like yet?
No, Hal was gonna put it out to his group and try to get 40 cars. You're right, that is the max though. We wouldn't have more than that.
Al usually gets pretty good participation in his stuff. Those guys like their cars. They gives them a excuse to polish them all up.
Yeah, I like those too.
Hal did add to the Q&A that there will not be a cruise.
Oh, there will not be a cruise. Okay.
So just a show and shine.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if my.
Revving the car will just be there, right? Okay.
Yep.
Park.
Just parked.
Well, I'm all for it. I don't know how you guys feel. Everything okay?
I'm good with
Yeah,
it.
I'm fine with it.
All right.
Thank you. And any other questions on the events committee?
Yeah. Anything?
Hogfest, is that at Fever Run?
I missed that. I missed that.
So that's one of the canceled events?
Oh, it's canceled. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yep. That's okay.
I'd like to point out, you know, the Festival of Film is reinventing the event and doing a virtual drive-in as well, and just kind of bring it up in public to encourage people to look at that. I thought that was pretty creative. Well done. It's good to see that they're going to be able to do something, you know, in our current situation that's very safe.
Has anybody been to one of those drive-ins? I haven't been yet.
Yeah. Cool.
I've been every weekend that they've had them.
You have? Good.
Yeah.
I signed up for the next two. Yeah, it's great. I encourage everybody to check it out. It's a fun night, fun, safe night out, and it's fun.
It's very romantic.
It's very romantic.
Yeah, I went alone.
Who are you with, Jeffrey?
Yeah. So
I thought you'd be in the back seat, Jeffrey.
I was alone.
That's great about the film fest. I think that's wonderful
Yeah.
that they're
Right.
continuing trying some new things. That's great.
And are these drive-in movies, I know the Film Fest it's a different website, but for the ones that you're talking about, Aaron, it's just BCA, right? That's where I signed up for mine to get a space.
Yeah, the first one had a partnership with Breck Film Fest. I don't know if others will have a partnership or not.
But
But
to register, it's BCA.
Yeah, to register, it's at breckrecreate.org.
Yeah.
I think Dick mentioned a drive-in for the Film Fest as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Through Film Fest.
Okay. Any other questions on events or anything? No? Okay. Social Equity Advisory Commission update. It would be Aaron or Dick, right? Or anyone.
You want to take this one, Aaron?
I can start it. We met with Social Equity and we had a great meeting, and we have some more coming up. See, this is Dick, maybe you should have started. Have we scheduled the workshops with the council, or we've talked about dates to start education with the council? So that's exciting. We talked about the difference between inclusion, diversity, and equity, and our goal is to reach equity within Breckenridge. So it was a great information sharing session, and I look forward to our future meetings. And I think we'll start to meet periodically here. Dick?
Yeah, I echo Aaron's comments, and I also look forward to it. And I think the equity project is going to really help us. When the time comes to accept applications for the commission, which we still don't have. We still don't have a total handle on when that will be, but it should be in the near future, hopefully this fall. I think we'll really have a structure in place so that we can hit the ground running. So that I think this is a good way to go. This is, continue to be very impressed with this group that we're working with.
And I'll point out, I mean, we're in this for the long haul. We're being deliberate because we don't think this is something that's going to go away. We think this is something that's going to last and flourish in Breck. So I really echo the thought. Let's do it right, and let's make it something that we're all proud of, and it's something that's effective. So okay.
Hey, Jeffrey, just a couple of concrete steps that we have going with that. So we'll have an internal meeting with
We're losing you, Rick.
Dick, we have an internal meeting scheduled a week from today with the Equity Project. Dick, Aaron, Shannon, and myself will start going over our organizational assessment information. So we may be bringing in some additional staff. That's scheduled for Tuesday morning, a week from now. We have set the date, which for the council and senior staff training, which is going to be first part of September, Shannon. I don't remember the exact date, but that's been locked in.
I think it's the 9th.
September 9th, yeah. So,
yeah, it is the 9th at 8 a.m.
Okay.
And that will be virtual, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Rick, it looks like we have a lot of time.
Yes.
Should we do like what's it called? Council, what's it?
I had a couple items to go over on the town manager report. If you want to do that, and then maybe you could do the council
Report of
council and mayor.
Cool. All right.
Okay. So under the town manager's report, we'd like to, one of the things that Eric had asked for was to kind of break up so that we're not spending a lot of time discussing, a lot of the COVID related things during our regular meetings, because we don't want 5 hours of meeting on virtual. We're going to have a really heavy agenda on the 25th because we have several items to go over. Plus, you're going to have probably about an hour and a half we need to set aside for interviews with the council candidates. So we need to have another special meeting to start discussing kind of some of the brainstorm items that have been coming up related to winter operations for businesses and what things that we've learned in our written survey and our focus groups, and kind of get a feel for how council wants to start thinking about some of these things. And we think we'd like to start that discussion next week. So how we're looking at potentially a special meeting on Wednesday the 19th. And earlier is better for some. So, I mean, we could do 8 o'clock, we could do 8:05 again for Kelly. 8:30, I'd like to get a little feedback from the 4 of you.
8:05 works for me, Rick.
Anything works. Anything works for me.
That works for me.
Aaron, I did you say yes?
Yes, 8:05 works. How long should we block off?
Well, that's always a loaded question. I don't know. It depends. I would say at least an hour and a half.
Okay.
Could you do 2 if you needed to?
Rick, do you think you'll have that housing proposal
Yeah.
to bring?
Yes.
I would do closer to 2. Just to be safe.
You want to start earlier, Aaron?
But then Kelly can't start earlier, I'm sure.
That was on a Tuesday. She may be able to on a Wednesday. I don't know.
If we could start earlier, that would help. If not, I can see what I can do.
All right, let me, we'll follow up and find out. So we'll tentatively look for 7:30 or 8 o'clock-ish on the 19th. And then we'll confirm that. Because I know Eric is okay. I already talked to him. And we'll just have to double check with Kelly. And it may be a little later this week. I'm not sure. I'll try to get a hold of her. Thank you. The other thing that came out today, which you were sent a separate email an hour or so ago, maybe a little longer, from Shannon. The governor is putting together a Zoom meeting for local elected officials and government leaders in the ski area regions. And that is this Thursday, August the 13th at 10 a.m. Both Shannon and I plan to be on that meeting, but I think it'd be nice if any of you had the opportunity to tune into that too. He's going to talk about what he's looking, or what the state is looking at with regards to potential ski operations this winter. So,
Rick, how does that work? I mean, do we get our own little Hollywood Square window, or do we just listen?
it depends on how. Was it Zoom, Shannon? I think it was Zoom, wasn't it?
It's set up as a Zoom webinar, so I don't think you're going to get your own square.
Okay, all right. I mean, I'll
So it's like you know, you have in our Zoom right now, we have participants and then you have us as panelists. So I would imagine the state will have a group of panelists and you'll be a participant, which means you'll be able to see them and hear what they're saying. They won't see you.
But can you ask questions is, I guess, my biggest.
Probably the Q&A. They'll use
Yeah.
a similar thing
Yeah.
like we do. You'll have
Okay.
a Q&A.
All right.
Yeah. So anybody think they might want to join that? I don't know. Let us.
Yeah, I would like to. I'm trying to rearrange a meeting, but I'm 90% sure I can. I'd like to try to do that.
Yeah, I'll probably check it out. I mean,
Shannon, I don't recall. Did they ask for RSVP or?
Nope, the information on the Zoom, for the Zoom is included in the email I sent you, so you don't have to register for it. It's all right there.
you know, is this something we could share with? This is just for elected officials, correct? Okay.
Yeah, I don't. You know, Yeah, I don't think they want 5,000 people signing up on it.
Okay,
They're trying to make it specific to our region.
I get you. So, is that it, Rick, for you?
Yes, I will. We did have under your report of mayor and council, the first one is the cast. And Eric and I did have a cast meeting last week, I believe, yeah, last Thursday. These are all obviously virtual. It was hosted by Town of Frisco. Most of our conversation was centered around the different responses, COVID responses within the communities, what people are looking towards when it comes to winter operations and how they're starting to make some of those decisions, et cetera. So we also shared that there's still some concerns with the, the state through CDOT right now is doing a hazmat study that ultimately could allow more hazmat vehicles to pass through the tunnel. And there's a pretty big push for the last couple of years that this is not something we want to allow because we know what happens if that tunnel gets shut down and the impacts to our economy here in Summit County. And so this is really being driven very hard from Silverthorne is part of a group that's really overseeing this and pushing hard along with obviously the town of Dillon being right there at the base of I-70 coming down from the tunnel. But, this is something to just kind of keep our eyes on because it has a direct impact on us, obviously, also. So
Can citizens weigh in, give an opinion on this?
No, yeah, I'm sure whenever that opportunity is. What CDOT has hired a outside company to come in and kind of facilitate and go through this process. So it's going to really be happening over the next kind of throughout the rest of this year.
Okay. All right. Now, okay, so that's your report, right, Rick?
Yeah.
Okay, now of mayor and council members. So do we have any other council member reports? Aaron, you did BOSAC, right?
We didn't have a meeting since the last.
Oh,
But we are having a special meeting on Thursday to discuss some options for council about COVID and coming up on the winter and how to have a strategy around how to disperse people.
Cool. Any other?
BHA has a board meeting tomorrow from 12 to 1:30. So that'll be the first board meeting that they've had this month. And then also the BTO, I think Lucy's going to give us an update at the meeting.
Not at this meeting, but the BHA meeting?
No, for the BTO at our regular meeting.
Okay.
Lucy will be on the call.
Dick, do you have anything?
Well, we went over events and housing already. I did attend a BCA meeting yesterday. I have to say I'm still, that was an education, just kind of understanding. I just really observed. I didn't really participate. It was, it's part of my getting up to speed with that organization. So I'm not sure I'll report too much on it. Rick, anything you want to throw in on that one?
Yeah, the BCA is really trying to compare, what we've asked them to do right now is kind of look at from a budget perspective is we need to know what their personnel costs are. There has been some kind of reorganization over there, so they'll have a little less personnel, but what's their current personnel costs and what's the bare bones that it takes to keep the lights on or at least maintain our assets, which are our physical assets over there. Because as you prepare the budget, then you get an idea of kind of where we're at there, and then how much do we want to, how comfortable are you and what level of programming do you want to see, as we start to, go through our budget process. Because one thing is, in the past, they usually gave us a list of here's what we want, and we're going to do all of these different things. But this year, it may be more like, well, here's what we're prepared to give you, because based on on how we have to weigh and juggle everything that we're doing between all of our partner organizations, whether it's BHA, BCA, BTO, et cetera. So.
Strange
Yeah,
days indeed.
my sense was that, we'll probably, if when we get what Rick's asking for, and that's absolutely right, then we'll have the opportunity to look at two numbers. We'll have, that absolute, worst case scenario number if we get shut down again, just to keep the lights on. And then we can, we really understand what the variable costs are to programming. And, I think it's important that we do, keep them whole. We can't completely cut them out, but, I'm not sure we'll get too close to that 2 million either.
And just so you know, Eric is probably going to make some, official announcement, but we didn't, when we lost Gary, we didn't have a BCA rep, and Aaron and both Dick expressed an interest in wanting to get involved. The board rules only allow for one voting member from the town. So what's being proposed, which I believe in talking to Eric, he's supportive and will probably make that official, nomination of them. Would be both Dick and Kelly would be on the new members on the BCA board. Kelly would be a voting member and Dick would be kind of an ad hoc member on there. So I think it does, the advantages it really allows. I think one of the things that we struggled with before was we felt a little, we kind of lacked some communication on knowing what certain things were and what was being planned and what was happening, et cetera. And so I think this, I kind of stressed that point with them, and, this would allow us to hopefully improve that. So.
Yeah, it allows us to be on different committees, so that we get, a broader understanding of what these guys, what the BCA, as we've set it up, is there's a lot of moving parts to that organization. So it'll be, I look forward to it. I think it's going to be a good setup.
I'm pretty happy about how all the arts organizations have thought out of the box as far as, dealing with the new reality, yet still providing something for the locals and the visitors. I just saw Lee Gervin's Breckenridge from the Depression on or something talking. It's just some cool stuff they're doing and they're keeping it very sensible as far as social distancing and whatnot. And yeah, I appreciate their effort. And I'm sure it's as hard for them as it is for the rest of us trying to deal with it. So
Matt just posted a chat, and BCA is presenting the summer drive-ins in partnership with Breck Film this weekend, The Princess Bride Friday and Jurassic Park Saturday, and they will be free to all with a suggested donation.
And you go online to bca.org to get a reservation.
Yes.
Can't just show up. You just gotta.
It's Breckenridge. Yeah, don't just show up. Get your ticket, and then you when you drive in.
Okay.
And you're supposed to be there before 8:45.
Okay.
But not before 7:30.
Oh, are you an usher there?
The rules, if you like.
Okay.
Oh, Jeffrey, she's a rule person. She knows rules.
Unbelievable.
Aaron, how many cars do they allow?
What?
How many cars do they allow?
I don't know. I don't know what full is, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know. Matt will chime in, 150-ish.
Yeah, I wanted to say it's 125, something like that, but I think that's what I remember in the meeting, but I could be wrong.
And you do it, you just tune in your radio. You don't even have to have those little things, that little speakers that used to drive away with them still in your window. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So, and if you have a stereo in your car, you get stereo sound, for the movie.
Like the dinosaurs are in your car.
Yeah, I hope to have stereo someday. So now we just go to other matters, don't we, Rick?
Well, I think we have an opportunity with the extra time to see if there are any other matters that anybody wants to discuss.
Hey, you know what? We gotta get you one of these headphones that, you know, you can plug in and there's a microphone right by your mouth. So sometimes we can't hear you. Are you talking now? No. Okay.
Do we read the questions and answers now, or is that for a later time?
Oh, I don't know. Who does that? Who does the questions and answers?
I usually answer them if it's something that I can answer. The one that's up now, I left up so that you could see. It was a compliment from Evan Harris saying she's really excited to see that the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Board continues to move forward and that education amongst the town council is happening. Thanks, y'all. I know I didn't get the y'all right, but I tried. So that's why I left that one up there, because I did want to make sure you guys saw it.
Okay, thank you, Evan. Okay, anyone else have another matter?
So I don't mean to be, as Jeffrey would say, a narc, but I was walking down Main Street and I saw the two people who were dressed in the orange and who I assume those are the people who are supposed to be talking to people not wearing a mask. Is that correct? Those are like.
You should be dressed in bright yellow.
Oh, maybe it was yellow. Sorry, it was bright yellow. They were talking to each other, and I saw them notice somebody not wearing a mask. He even made like an effort to walk over, and then nothing. So I don't know.
The old head fake.
Something to maybe take a look at. And it was Joe and I both. Joe also noticed, and so yeah, I said I would bring it up.
Okay.
Being sensitive.
Yeah, we'll pass that on. You know, these are newer positions for these people, and sometimes they don't realize when you're wearing that uniform how much you stick out, and people notice what you do and what you don't do. And so it's a good reminder to them that they're very visible of why they're out there, and so we'll continue to remind them of that. Thank you.
You know that said, I walked down there yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday. And I saw, I'd guess 90%, 95% compliance. So, I mean, it is, but I think I agree with Aaron. I think, you know, we gave them that vest, so let them use it. Anyone else? Okay.
You know, go ahead, Aaron.
Much, like, to be fair, because of all the compliance, because of everybody wearing a mask, he stood out.
Yeah.
The person not wearing a mask. So that, I do agree. There's a lot more.
Yeah. Are you on dial-up?
Me?
Yeah. We gotta get some fiber in Breckenridge, man.
Well, I will have aloe soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have aloe pretty soon too. Dick or Dennis, any other matters?
No,
go ahead, Dennis.
I have noticed compliance really has stepped up since we made it the mandatory zone. So I think we're on the right track.
You know, and I noticed one of the letters from Carol Cannon, and she's a neighbor. I was gonna, keep looking for her to catch her and talk about it more. But you know, when she suggested to possibly, have the Riverwalk Center available for some students, some Breck students, to just kind of have study hall kind of sessions and take advantage of the Wi-Fi. I thought that's a big space, and that's not the only idea to utilize that facility. In the Resilience Committee, I know there's been a lot of ideas to utilize that facility, and they're very intriguing. I appreciate people thinking out of the box, and we are all looking for big, wide open spaces. They feel much safer. I think science probably says they're a lot safer. So, so hopefully we can consider that. that just be very open to the creative ideas for that space.
I think we are. And when it comes to that, you also saw a letter that was sent to you from Mountaintop Museum, obviously, and they're looking to say, what role can they play? And I just want you to know that there's a group of people that are kind of coming together with and working, working not only with Breckenridge to say what spaces do we have, also working through the county, working through the town to try to look at some alternative locations. There are some ideas out there right now. I don't want to necessarily comment on them because I think the process is still there, and I don't want to say things publicly that might not be correct, but I just want you to know that is being looked into and examined right now. And so hopefully we'll have more to report out on that in the near future.
That's awesome. Collaborative efforts are always great.
And all right, I have one other matter. I was on Main Street yesterday. I was talking to some retail owners, kind of a mom and pop operation, and they were just commenting about how things are going, and they just said it's just fatiguing in this new reality. It's just like it's not like a normal season. We talked a little bit about numbers, but mostly just about the feng shui of dealing with this new reality. And they just said it's just tiring, and they shorten their hours a little bit, but they're providing a good product and a good service. And I've talked to a few businesses in that same situation, and I just want to shout out to the people that are working, that are trying to make a go of it. I think we're all aware of how difficult it is to operate a business in Breckenridge or in Summit County, right, or in the world right now. And we appreciate the effort. I mean, it brings in tax revenue, it provides a service for our visitors, and I know, we all know it's not easy for any of us, but to own a shop like that, have to deal with people day in and day out. Good on you, better you than me, but we really appreciate the effort. And as a community, we're going to do as much as we can to get back quickly and to make it as easy as possible. But that's my soapbox. So now, Rick, what do we do? Just kind of take a break?
Yeah, well said, Jeffrey. I think there have been a lot of opportunities for the small business community to engage with Rick and Shannon, and the BTO team and Resilience Committee and et cetera, et cetera. I know the Restaurant Association's been, very active with their 9:30 calls every Monday morning. And, there are a lot of efforts out there, so I encourage people, the small business folks in town to speak up. And if you have ideas and you have suggestions, there's no bad ideas right now. This is a whole new world for us all.
And nothing is as easy as it used to be. I mean, whatever your business is, whatever your occupation is, it's more difficult now than it was 7 months ago. I mean, and so appreciate it.
And I completely agree with what you and Dick have said. Along those lines, somebody brought up to me a little vaguely about who's checking in on people. And I know that we have Building Hope, and I think that they do a great job. They're doing a great job. But as we look at COVID, and I know that we'll be having meetings specifically about COVID, and we've been talking about, how to keep people afloat, either personally and with rent and with the FERC and with our programs for businesses and to help with their rent and things like that. And we're looking at in the future of, how can we present the best strategy possible for the winter. I think that we also have to keep in mind that mental health component about how hard this really is. And are people checking on other people? I worry about, what happens in the spring with high schoolers. And I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but I think we need to make sure that we can do what we can in that capacity too, from a mental health standpoint, because it's going to be, winter's going to be really hard in so many different areas, and I know that we're looking a lot in the financial area, which I agree with, and I think we absolutely should, but you might want to ask that question here and there about how are we keeping up with people's mental health as well.
Well, I think the most important thing that we can do is, to borrow Eric's soapbox for a second, is it's up to all of us. We all need to check in on each other. We're a small town. That's why we live here. You know, we're a small, tight community. And, you know, we have to check in on our friends. We have to check in on each other and just see how people just pick up the phone or shoot a text and just say, how you doing? You know, that's so important. And I think we learned some hard lessons around that in the spring. And so we can't forget that, because you're so right, Aaron. You know, this summer's been fabulous with the ability to get outside, and it's been a beautiful, beautiful weather. And, you know, we all know that's going to change. And it is so important for all of us to reach out to your own network and just check on people.
And also just take a breath, maybe not follow your first inclination of impatience, and just kind of be nice to strangers, or as nice as your DNA allows you to be to strangers. So, now what?
Here's what I would suggest. We have a couple minutes. Let's take a break. Just mute. You can kind of stop your video and mute yourself and come back at about, a couple minutes before 7, and we'll start the night meeting, which shouldn't last very long.
Okay. How'd I do in the work session, Rick?
You did an A+.
All right. Thanks.
I give you an A.
I'll see you in 9 minutes. I'm going to call to order the town council meeting for 8/11. Roll call.
Mr. Carlton,
Here.
Mr. Kuhn,
Here.
Ms. Giello,
Here.
Ms. Owens, she's absent. Mayor Mamula is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Bergeron.
Here. Okay, so now we have to approval of the minutes. You guys see anything? What?
Can you make that announcement that if any citizen want to?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. If you have any public comment, now would be the time to write a public comment in the Q&A, and then we're going to kill some time doing approvals of minutes and stuff like that, and approval agenda. And then in the interim, you'll be writing your questions, and then someone will answer them if you have questions when the time comes. So I guess now would be the time to start pecking. How is that? Okay, so approval of minutes. You guys see anything that look glaringly wrong? No? Okay. Okay. Kind of hopes we kill some time there. Communicate. Okay. Approval of the agenda.
No changes.
No change to the agenda. Okay. Now, do we have any, is that enough time for questions, Shannon? Do I give them enough time? I can talk about my high school football career.
Al wants to know if it's lonely at the top, Jeffrey.
Who does?
Al, it's a
No,
question.
it's frightening. It's frightening at the top and a little confusing. Okay, any other questions? Public, okay, that's something we've already seen before. Okay, so communications to council is closed, and now we have the Breckenridge Tourism Office update. Lucy K.
Chris, can you make sure Lucy comes over as a panelist?
One moment.
She's probably not used to things moving so quickly. Eric does a lot of pontificating, and I'm much more succinct in my dialogue and delivery. Here she is. Hey, Lucy.
Hey, everybody. Good evening. Good meeting so far, Jeffrey. Nice work. I
Yeah,
liked
thank you.
it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll be quick. So quick lodging update. We just got the July 31 DMX information and just real top line. June through August, we're down 17% in occupancy, which is really, I think, remarkably not too bad. June, most of that loss was in June. We were down 50% in June. July was only down 4% in booked nights. And August is looking so far like it's going to be about the same so far. September, looking forward into September, that's down, which is about 8%, which is not surprising given the events being canceled. And I think what's going to happen in August and September and probably even into October, depending on what happens with the schools and how many schools stay with remote learning versus in class kind of stuff, you know, that's really going to change our business. So I personally am really pleased with these numbers. I think it's remarkable in this scenario that that's all we're down. I think we were really planning that it would be a lot more tougher than that. So I think it's decent news. Anecdotally, I mean, we do have a few properties in town that are actually reporting that they're having a better summer than they did last year, including June and May. So all things considered, we've got some pretty resilient Breckenridge travelers. I will say too, while we're not doing man on the street interviews, so I can't tell you like I normally could, what percent is front range versus what percent is out of state. Megan Pearson from our Welcome Center loves to go out every day and count up how many different license plates she sees in the parking lot on a given day. And she was like, had 42 yesterday from 42 different states. So I'd say there's a good mix of out of state business out there. We are looking at, you know, really what else we can do to build fall and looking into October. I know pre-COVID, we wanted October to be we want the month off kind of month, but I think all things considering, we'd be happy to have some more traffic coming through town in October. So we're looking at, you know, carefully what kinds of things can we do there to help drive that. On the public relations front, we're going to have Forbes magazine in. We're being very, very selective. We're bringing very little media in. And we're only looking at long lead, so we have something for next summer. So Forbes will be here on August 23rd, and then we have Artful Living here at the end of August. So we're kind of going with, you know, higher level, you know, bigger publications, but fewer FAMs and things like that all in. We've been spending a ton of time, as many of you know, on research. We finished the business survey. Rick and Shannon were tremendous and helped us with focus groups with the restaurant, retail, and lodging associations. We're compiling all that data now, and that's going to help us shape what we're looking to do in fall and early winter. Just today, we completed a school impact survey that we will be ready to send out to our local employers and employees, and that is really getting around a lot of Kelly's issues regarding what happens to employees when their kids are in and out of school with quarantines and things like that. We are going to wait a day or two to see if the Summit School District, you know, makes a decision one way or the other in terms of what they're going to do within class versus remote learning. But our survey is ready to go just as soon as we hear from the school district. In addition to that, I just got on my email while you guys were on the work session, we found a remote learning tracker, and this is another one of these kind of complementary services that's out there right now, and it's tracking what's happening with schools across the country. So it's not everybody, it's not perfect, but it gives us an idea of what to expect in terms of whether people will have more travel flexibility or not. The third big piece of data, we're just getting back the results from we did our past guest traveler sentiment. So we're looking at people who have been to Breckenridge before and kind of gauging how willing they are to travel. Have they come? Are they planning on coming? Are they sitting tight? So we're just drilling through all of that information. Preliminary results, we have some pretty resilient and some pretty committed and passionate, Breckenridge passionate travel past guests. We're going to bump our data against the national data, the destination analysts that we talk about all the time, and just see like how our guest looks a little different than perhaps the average tourist that we've been reporting on every week. This morning, the BTO team, we went through the business assumptions for our 2021 plan. And I shared that planning document with Dennis. And I'm thinking, you know, I'll share it with Brian Waldes too. I think it might be helpful for some town planning, some of the information we have in that. But our plan at the BTO is we're putting our top line business plan together for 21, along with a budget request that will go to our board at our board meeting on the 27th. And then we'll be prepared by the end of the month to submit the plan and our budget requests to the town. The last thing I will add is we are getting ready to publicly launch our October Feast. Very, very clear, it is not Oktoberfest. We know there's going to be confusion. Oktoberfest is not happening. October Feast is a restaurant promotion where we're going to do pairings dinners in restaurants that choose to participate. So that will get launched this week, and we will post restaurants as we get their menus. So that will be a program that will be very fluid, and we'll build it as we go. Wine Classic is off the table. I think you all know that. We're working on December and January events, so that figuring out how we can build the lighting and Santa Ray, Schooler, all those kinds of events, and build them so they can scale up or down depending on what the world looks like in December. And the last thing I will put out is the Governor's Conference on Tourism is going to be virtual this year. It's in September. So I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of folks in town that typically don't go to that because it's a 2.5-day conference in Denver. Now that it's virtual, it'd be a great opportunity for people to see what the Colorado tourism industry does and how we're dealing with these issues on a bigger level. So I'll make sure we get that information out to all of you and other interested parties. So happy to take some questions if you, I didn't realize my screen was so bad. Sorry, guys. Happy to take questions if you have anything.
Anyone?
Tuesday, I'm assuming there's just zero group business for the short term, but how are we looking in the medium and long term with groups? Is that just completely off the?
It's I wouldn't say 100% off, but I'd say 90% off. I can tell you that a lot of properties have just closed that part of their business. Like those salespeople are either directed to something else or they're not working. Business travel, of all the travel segments, business travel, according to the traveler sentiment stuff that we see, is the least likely to return anytime soon. So, but you know, I think some of our properties like Beaver Run has done a phenomenal job, and they've done a great job backfilling with leisure travel. Again, much better than I think any of us thought might happen. So they're not whole, but they're in pretty good shape.
That's good to hear.
So we're from June to August, we're only down 17% in lodging.
In occupancy, yeah.
In occupancy, I mean, does that come, and that includes VRBOs that we have registered in hotels and all that?
Yeah, that's right off the DMX report. So that's all of that.
Do you have any idea if the added, I mean, what, is there a big added cost for kind of sanitizing everything between use?
Yeah.
And so there'd be less of a profit margin and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they probably adjusted their rates somewhat too?
Yeah, ADRs are down. I don't have that rate in front of me. I think they're down like 6%. So the average daily rate is down a little bit and their expenses are up. So yeah, the margin is definitely squeezed.
And do you get a sense that the people here now and the people that will be coming will be driving versus
Yes.
flying?
Yeah. I think what we're seeing in the destination analyst information is that, you know, maybe early 21, like midwinter or next summer is when people are going to start thinking about flying more. Right now, it's still very much a drive market.
Okay.
So
Okay.
To Dick's point, what percentage of sales is group sales?
We don't know in total because it's not broken out in the DMX reports. And I know it for some specific properties, but probably shouldn't share that publicly. But I can say for a property like Beaver Run, you know, the big meeting properties, it's significant for the summer.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
All right, Lucy. Hey, thanks.
All right,
This
thank
is
you.
surprisingly good news, or better than awful news.
Yeah. We were
I like
pleasantly,
my dancing.
hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks, Lucy.
See ya.
Okay, so now, Rick, I'm looking at this. It says second reading. There's no second readings, right? It's all first readings.
Yeah, no second.
Okay, so first reading, Council Bill number 28, Series 2020, an ordinance amending Chapter 13, Title 4 of the Breckenridge Town Code concerning special events.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, you have before you an ordinance revision that would add virtually held events to those special events that we can permit through the SEPA process. And a virtually held event is an event that is both in person and in a virtual environment. So it is not an event that is held entirely virtually. There is some physical associated with the event, like a virtual bike race or a virtual run. And we found that these are more popular now in COVID times. So we want to make sure, given the fact that they do have actual impacts to our community, that we're including them in our event requirements. So this would be an event that meets the same criteria as an entirely physically held event as far as the number of people who are included and the purpose of the event and the potential for impacts on the community. In addition to that, we've also added a definition of street art and included street art in what is able to be permitted. In the past, we've been able to permit murals, and we recently realized that our code definition for mural does not include street art. So that has been included in this revision as well, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody?
Questions?
And just to be clear, Shannon, the impact that could occur from a virtual event, say on our trails, is just a bunch of people on a given trail doing a Strava event or some sort of event like that, and we need to know who and where and how many people might be showing up so that we're cognizant of any sort of issues that in that regard, correct?
Yeah, it really can be, you know, any type of event, whether it's, you know, running or biking or something else, but the potential impact would be visual, noise, environmental, and generally causing disruption to trails, neighborhoods, or the community in general. So any type of event that might have that kind of impact, we would want to permit.
All righty.
Yeah, Jeffrey, it gives us the opportunity to be a bit proactive during the SEPA process. You know, sometimes the event organizers don't realize that, you know, doing an event on Turks is maybe a bad idea.
Yeah, I get you, yeah.
So, you know, we can help educate, and most of these event producers are awesome about, you know, really working with us, the events committee, that, you know, our trails people, or open space, you know, and they really want to do the right thing. Sometimes they just don't realize. So this gives us the chance to you know, head it off before it happens.
All right. Well, anybody else? So, well, since the ace motioner is indisposed at this current time, I'll ask for a motion.
I move that we pass on first reading Council Bill number 28, Series 2020, the title of which has been read into the record.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussions? Okay. How about a roll call?
Ms. Giello.
Yes.
Got it. Mr. Carlton.
Yes.
Mr. Kuhn,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergeron.
Yes. Yes. And that was a yes on you, Erin?
Yes, yeah. Should I be speaking louder?
Yeah, you gotta get your head in the game. I couldn't hear you. Okay. Okay, so that passed then, right? So we
Right.
can just move on. Okay, so council, another first reading, council bill number 29, series 2020, an ordinance amending the chapter 1 of title 9 of the Breckenridge Town Code, known as the Breckenridge Development Code, concerning exterior lighting. Is this Truckee? Yeah.
Yes, sir, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Good evening. This amendment to our exterior lighting regulations will address a couple issues. The lighting regulations were initially developed back in 2007, and they were intended primarily to deal with preserving our dark sky, so requiring downcast and shielded lighting. So any new projects that have come in the last 15 or 13 years have complied with that. However, there was also a requirement that all residential and commercial projects in town eventually come into compliance, and the conformance date for that was set for July 2022. Based on some feedback we've got from the community, this proposes to extend that date to July of 2025. There's also a clarification in here that another option to replacing fixtures is a retrofit of your existing fixture to shield the light and cast it downward. So those are the major changes, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Anybody have a question?
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Okay, so hearing no questions. Does anyone like the motion?
I move to approve on first reading bill number 29, series 2020, the title of which was previously read into the record.
Second.
Second, been moved and seconded. Any discussions?
Are we waiting for comments from the public?
Only if you want to.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Typically, we're not required to on first reading. But
Oh, okay.
we do.
Yeah. Nobody's coming.
You know what? If you guys, anyone out there has a comment, Eric will be back next meeting, and he will field the comments as we all will. I'm sorry, I didn't think of that. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, and we have no discussions other than Aaron throwing a wrench in the works. So now I guess we just make a roll call, correct? Well, let's roll it.
Ms. Giello,
Yes.
Mr. Carlton,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhn,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergeron.
Yes. Okay, that's done. Now, the next one is Council Bill number 30, series 2020, an ordinance authorizing the granting of an easement to Public Service Company of Colorado through town open space. Who you taking that, Tim?
Yeah, this is me, as well as the following ordinance.
Okay.
The charter requires that an easement over town-owned property be approved by ordinance. This ordinance, if it is finally adopted on second reading, will authorize the execution of an easement to Public Service Company about 15 feet in width over the town property that's mentioned in the ordinance. Staff has reviewed it, thinks the impacts will be negligible, and recommends that the ordinance be approved on first reading.
And this doesn't affect any trails, and there'll be re-vegging and very kind of aesthetically bring it back up to conditions, right?
Yes, it's my understanding that the actual installation will be below ground. There'll be minimal disturbance, but the ordinance approves an easement, and in the easement, the town has the right to review and approve the removal of any trees.
Cool. And Aaron, you said BOSAC is supportive of this?
They did not bring up any issues.
Okay. Okay, so that said, would anyone like to motion?
I move that we pass Council Bill number 30, Series 2020, an ordinance authorizing the granting of an easement to Public Service Company of Colorado.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and we have, do we have a discussion? Any discussions? Okay, and then how about a roll call?
Mr. Kuhn,
Yes.
Ms. Giello,
Yes.
Mr. Carlton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergeron.
Yes. Okay, now, Council Bill number 31, Series 2020, an ordinance amending section 9-1-21 of the Breckenridge Town Code concerning correlative documents to the Breckenridge Development Code. Tim?
Yeah, this is me. The town's development code has embedded within it a list of relevant documents that are essentially adopted by reference in the development code. One such document is the old transit plan. As you know from the discussion with the council at the last meeting that Jen Pullen presided or gave to you, she has developed a new transit master plan. This ordinance, if it's adopted, will amend the list of correlative documents in the development code to change the reference from the old transit plan to the new transit plan.
Okay. And this gives us, doesn't remove any flexibility we have on any of this stuff, so this is just housekeeping.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, guys?
Thank you,
No?
Tim.
Okay. Did anyone like to make a motion?
I move that we approve on first reading Council Bill number 31, Series 2020, the title of which has been read into the record.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, so how about a roll call, Helen?
Mr. Carlton,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhn,
Yes.
Ms. Giello.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Bergeron.
Yes. Okay, it's been moved and passed and everything's copacetic. And then we're going to move on to a proclamation to support the wind. A proclamation in support of American Wind Week. Is this self-explanatory? Tim, you doing this?
Well, no, Jeffrey, I'm not really doing it. You heard the explanation from Jesse Burley at the work session. I just wanted to point out to you that a mayoral proclamation is only done by the mayor, or in this case, a mayor pro tem. It does not have to be approved by the council.
Okay, so I'm making a declaration. I'm just reading this, and then we're all good, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Whereas the wind is the largest provider of renewable energy in the country, and although wind energy is typically not installed in Breckenridge, it plays a major role in the statewide level in cleaning up Xcel's energy grid that powers our town. And whereas the wind industry is a major economic driver in towns and counties all over across Colorado, driving $7.6 billion in total capital investments to date and providing $14 million in annual lease payments to rural landowners in 2019 alone. And whereas our state is home to 18 wind-related manufacturing facilities and 26 wind projects providing more than 7,000 jobs for Colorado. And whereas Colorado ranks 8th in the nation for installed wind capacity, and with continued investments in renewable energy can continue to power local communities and businesses for years to come. And whereas wind energy is a primary source of renewable power for our local utilities and will help them achieve a carbon-free grid by 2035, whereas the town of Breckenridge has a goal to have municipal buildings powered 100% renewable energies by 2025, and the broader community powered 100% renewable energies by 2035, and whereas the energy portfolio for achieving those goals will need to include wind, solar, and battery storage in the town of Breckenridge. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Pro Tem Jeffrey Bergeron, do hereby proclaim the week of August 9th to the 15th, 2020 as American Wind Week, and call upon all residents to join me in supporting the aims and goals of this effort adopted on this day, 11th day of August, 2020.
Nicely done.
Whoa.
Well done, Jeffrey.
Thanks. So I guess we just move on then, right?
Jeffrey, could I interrupt just for a second?
Sure.
And go back? Helen, I believe there were 2 ordinances for the public service easements. Did we council only act on the first one, not the second?
I only had them on the agenda as a single, they were only listed as one thing. So that might have been a mistake on my part. I only had one listed.
Can we do it on the fly?
Yes. Helen, do you know what would be the next ordinance number?
Yeah. It would be 32.
If the council will go back in the agenda packet under the public service agenda item, you will see in the PDF packet that there are 2 different ordinances, one for each easement that Xcel Public Service is requesting. If the council would allow, this is out of order, and so it's subject to your discretion, but I would ask that you allow this consideration of the second ordinance for first reading.
Would it read the same with just a different number?
It's a different ordinance, Jeffrey.
If someone was going to make the motion, could they use the same language that they did for Council Bill number 30?
Yes, except you would want to refer to Council Bill number 32.
Okay. Does anyone feel up for doing that?
Move that the council approve on first reading Council Bill number 32, Series 2020, the title of which was previously read into the record and as assigned in the packet.
Good job.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. And is there any discussion? Probably not. How about a roll call?
Mr. Kuhn,
Yes.
Ms. Giello,
Yes.
Mr. Carlton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergeron.
Yes.
Thank you for allowing us to do that.
Sure, no problem. So now the resolutions are done. We got the Wind Week behind us. Planning Commission's decisions. So we're just gonna, do we have any, we have no call-ups or anything like that, right, Rick?
No, it should
So
be good.
we just passed, but they're hereby passed. We've done everything else and report to mayor and council, and I don't see anything else that we need to do.
I have one additional item. I want to let the council know that we'll be asking the mayor pro tem probably on Thursday to enter into a proclamation for emergency fire restrictions to match up what's happening in the county level. They're moving, the BOCC we assume is going to go to stage 2 fire restrictions on Thursday. That'll be effective basically at 12:01 a.m. Friday morning, and we want to follow suit. So we'll put together an emergency proclamation for Jeffrey to sign. Are you around the rest of the week so we can get a hold of you to put that together?
Yes, yeah.
All right.
I have like a photo shoot at 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday, but other than that, no.
Yeah, we'll find you. There's some, you're all seeing there's some big fires going on, and the wind and the dryness is really taking over. And so I'm not sure what all we're going to see in stage 2, but I'm sure it's going to restrict any outdoor burning.
So I just come to town hall to do that?
Yeah, we'll come to you. We'll find you.
Cool. So is that it?
That's good to hear, Rick, because it's scary out there.
Yeah,
It's getting really dry again.
There was just some really amazing video of someone rafting the Colorado through Glenwood Canyon, and just how quickly that thing exploded, how it spread. So Okay. Well,
Right.
I think we're done, aren't we?
Yeah, we can adjourn.
Okay, would anyone want to make a move to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn this amazing meeting with Mayor Pro Tem Jeffrey Bergeron.
I'll second that. Okay, cool. So I think we're out of here. Thanks for bearing with me, and people, thanks for bearing with me. I'll peace out. Right?
Number two.
See ya.
Well,